I'm George Socha, and we are here at the University of Florida Levin College of Law for the 4th annual UF Law EDRM eDiscovery Conference on just a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday afternoon. We're turning the tables here a little bit, and I'm going to be interviewing David, who has done a number of these interviews, and we probably really should have David interviewing himself. I've been watching how he does them, and he's doing a great job. But David, what can you tell us about this conference to start, and we'll go from there?
Well, George, you're very kind. George obviously is one of the luminaries of our industry and one of the true legal experts. But thanks for the interview. It's great to be here as a graduate of the University of Florida Law School and the Levin College of Law. It's great to be back. And I'm here today speaking...
How long has it been since you've been back?
I knew he was going to get that. I went here in the 90s, so
okay.
I was going through Gainesville last night.
So you're a recent grad.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah, recent grad. We're going to stick with that and go with it. But yeah, I'm here. We had a panel earlier today talking about the psyche of the case, where we talked about what you do before you get started in an e-discovery matter. We talked about putting the team together. We talked about what you do on technology, getting ready for trial. And what I did was use case law to introduce these concepts because it's sort of a corollary of the popular expression. I always find that truth is more entertaining than fiction. And some of these e-discovery cases, you just think, what are these people thinking?
No, maybe they are fiction.
Yes, well, you know, you never know.
Right. So in any panel presentation, of course, as a speaker, there is something you are just dying to get out to the audience, but there are other speakers there. There's a moderator. You run out of time. Here's your chance. What would you have liked to have covered that you did not get to?
This ball game is going into extra innings.
That's right.
Because there was another panel on technology-assisted review, we did sort of a light touch on that, and we didn't want to get too much into the weeds. But one of the things I'd like to tell the law students here is one thing I didn't get a chance to do in there, and that is e-discovery can be your ticket to a great career. Years ago, e-discovery, or discovery in general, may not have been important from an electronic angle, but if you can put together the tech skills that you need to do e-discovery, you will have such a leg up on the competition. And when I went to law school here, which as we've established was not that long ago, we didn't have e-discovery classes. It was a 10-minute discussion in civil procedure. And now the University of Florida has one of the most preeminent law school programs in e-discovery in the country. So to the law students out there, the one thing I didn't get to say, I'd like to say, is learn e-discovery, it'll help you.
So let's turn this question around and put it the other way. What about the law firms out there hiring these law students? How can they take good advantage of what these students have learned?
It's a real issue, and it's also a gold mine. Craig Ball had a great quote from this morning when he said, it wasn't Craig Ball, someone had a great quote from this morning where, I think it was the judge actually, who said, you know, young lawyers have a tremendous advantage because we dinosaurs have to learn these things that come naturally to young lawyers. And so to the law firms, you've got a technological gold mine. My 14-month-old baby boy knows that if you touch something and he's almost gotten swiped down, that things happen. He doesn't know the cause and effect relationship, but he knows those things happen. Take that to 18 years of development, 4 years of undergrad, 3 years of law school. You've got a gold mine of people who know tech, and the law firms ought to tap into it.
One of the challenges, I think, is we'll continue your analogy there. My son's a bit older, he's 22.
Okay.
My grandfather had a Model A, which he drove across the country and back.
Nice.
To do that, he took practically a spare Model A with him, and he had to be able to disassemble and reassemble the car as necessary when things broke down.
You know, Ford bought Jaguar, so some things never change.
That's right. And I had to change oil, change tires. I eventually bought a car I shouldn't have and had to pull the engine and rewire it and all, but that was unusual. My son, he's a good driver, I'm sure a better driver than I am, at least he's a more rapid responder than I am.
Yeah.
He could not change the tire the last time it went flat. He did not know what to do, and changing an oil is a non-starter because what would we do with it?
Sure.
How many of these students are great users of the technology, as opposed to folks who understand the nuts and bolts about e-discovery? How many of them are people who understand the nuts and bolts, and where do they fit? What can they have to offer for the law firms out there?
It's a fair critique. It's like they always used to say about the patent exam, the exam to become a licensed patent lawyer. You better not take that exam unless you had a technical undergrad. And, you know, we use expressions today like dial a phone. If you talk to somebody who was 20 years old, do you think they know what dial a phone means and why we use that expression?
No.
So your critique is a good one. I think some of the ways that law schools are addressing it, for instance, the cross-disciplinary programs they have at the University of Florida, where you have computer science students in the same room as the law students. I think that's one way to address it. But it's a tough nut to crack. It's the standard argument that I didn't go to law school to be a statistician or a computer scientist. And then they're probably saying, gee, you know, I didn't get my master's in information sciences so that I could look at legal documents all day.
Go work at a law firm?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but there are opportunities there.
Absolutely.
And there will be even more so. Well, David, thank you very much for taking the time not only to talk with me, but to come down here for this conference as well.
And George, thank you so much. And one thing I wanted to add is thank you to you and EDRM as well for co-sponsoring this conference. EDRM is obviously the ubiquitous thing that we all use in e-discovery, and thanks for helping out my alma mater. I appreciate that.
No problem at all. Thank you.
Good to see you as always.
Likewise.